Hello. Happy Thursday. Welcome to my craft room. Hope everybody's doing good. Tonight, as you can see, we are going to be playing with the ink and tiled stamp set. We've played with it before, but tonight we are going to focus on the two punches, really, on one of the cards um, that goes with this bundle. Okay? But before we get started, I just have a little bit of housekeeping. I kept the host code off my screen. You'll find it right here. And if you place a $35 order between tonight and Sunday evening, I will send you these make and takes in the mail as a thank you. And also, I don't know if you have seen, but Stampin' Up! Is celebrating 35 years of being in business. That is an amazing accomplishment with the way things are in the economy today. And to celebrate, they have this awesome promotion, and I'd love for you to be on my team, whether you want to build a business, hey, do, or you want to be a hobby demonstrator. And you can get $35, 35% off the cost of the starter kit, and it's usually $99, and you get to choose a Hey Ruth, $125 worth of product. But for the month of October, that starter kit will only cost $64.35 for $125 worth of product. Or they have a second promotion, and for the $99 kit, you get to choose $168. Hey, Margaret, you get to choose $168 worth of product for the $99. Now, what they're also offering is a free registration to On Stage at Home. So, as a demonstrator, we're able to go to different events during the year, and this event they're having right at home, and you can join. It's usually a $77 offer. You can join the event online, and it is quite fun. You'll learn a lot. Um, so if you were to join my team, you would get all my craft box or paid PDFs for free. And if you wanted to start a blog, I would set that up for you. So think about it. I'd love to have you. Hey, Karen. All right, so we have two cards tonight. This one I did with the punches, and it's all monochromatic. I'm using Petal Pink and Calypso Coral. And this one, believe it or not, I did not do the inside again. This morning, I got a phone call from my brother, and he had to call an ambulance for himself because he was having really bad pain in his leg. So he thought, the birthday girl is sleeping. Oh my goodness. Because he thought he had a blood clot. Turns out it's just that he's dehydrated and his muscles were contracting. So I ended up spending the morning in the ER with him. So I never did finish this card. So let's do that one first. And I'll do the inside right now while we're working on it. There's always something I forget. Never a dull moment. All right, so we're going to start with Petal Pink, and it's 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4.25. So it's our basic card base. And again, you can, when you're creating your cards, you can do it in a portrait or landscape. I'm going to work portrait. Okay. Then we have a layer of Calypso Coral. And this layer is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And I am going to top it with a layer of Very Vanilla tonight. and this is 5 by 3 3/4. But before we adhere that to the front of the card, we're going to stamp, and I am going to adhere these 3 strips of designer series paper. Okay, so I'm just going to get a piece of scrap and put our very vanilla on. I'm going to move. Thank you for sharing. It's been crazy. The weather is beautiful here. I think, Ruth, you said it's raining. We're supposed to get rain. And honestly, I am hoping that we don't get any rain, because the Amish farmer behind us, he's been trying so hard to get his cornfields harvested. And it's been raining on and off. I just hope his corn is not ruined this year, because he's having a rough time with the weather. All right, so here is our cardstock. So, and see, I broke 2 nails, and I'm going to use Calypso Coral and the large flower that's in the inked and tiled stamp set. So we're just going to make sure we ink it up really good. So the baby didn't, thank you, Karen. The baby didn't party hardy. She's sleeping already. Little stinker. All right, so we're just going to stamp this over to the right of this layer. Just like that. Easy peasy, right? I loved your card, Dee, and the mystery card. That was really pretty. All right, and then we're going to adhere these strips. To be honest, I did cut them at first at a 1/2 inch. And they, believe it or not, it'll probably fit now. But when I did it the first time, it just looked like, yeah, see, just too much. So I decided to cut them down to a 1/4 inch. And I'm just going to add some glue. Now again, you'll want to see, if you want to recreate this card, if you have paper, designer series paper that's directional, you'll want to make sure that you cut it the right way. All right, so we're going to put the first one on, and I'm just alternating a Calypso Coral and a Petal Pink piece. And this really is not directional, but, and then we're going to just put this on, trying to keep it so there's the same amount of space between each one. And then we're going to just put one more. Hopefully it won't stick to my paper, my scrap paper. I'm just going to hold it up and push it down. All right. So now that they're adhered, we're just going to turn it over, and I'm going to trim these off. You can do it with your trimmer. I'm just, instead of pulling out that little trimmer, I'm just going to snip them off. All right, so there is the front of our card. Easy peasy. Yeah, I think it looks better smaller too. Next, we're going to take our Calypso Coral twine, braided linen trim. And of course, I am going to cut it to fit the width of our cardstock. if I can find my... Just give me a second. I'm looking at my desk here. My my ribbon scissors. Here they are. My ribbon scissors should... Nope, this is not them. Should be right here. I couldn't find my phone a minute ago. All right, so I like to cheat, or actually I should say I don't like to wrap ribbon or twine and then tie a bow. So I cheat and add some glue dots on a short length of ribbon. I'm just going to pull it up and adhere it with a glue dot. Just like that. All right. All right. Here they are. Next, what I'm going to do is I am going to take that Calypso coral that we were talking about, and we're now going to adhere this layer to the Calypso coral. And I am going to use some glue. For some reason, you don't really see the glue through the very vanilla. And I'm going to lay this down and adhere it to this Calypso coral. All right. So far, so good. And then we can adhere this layer right to the front of the card. The poor little pumpkin is suffering. Poor little thing. The greatest color. It doesn't look too bad, huh? I always try to find colors that will go. It drives me crazy sometimes. All right, now, let me just get rid of this garbage here. We need to, and I think I have a scrap here. I have a scrap, and I already used our punch, this little star punch right here, and cut it out from the Calypso coral. And on our card, we have Hello Friend, and I am going to grab this Hello Friend, and instead of punching first, I'm going to stamp first. So I don't have to worry about getting it straight and worrying. So I can just stamp my sentiment, grab my punch, and then line it up and get it in here straight. No sense in stressing over the sentiment, right? And then we're going to offset it so we can see the little Calypso coral points. Oh, yep. Calypso coral points from behind. All right, so there's our sentiment. We're actually going to grab some dimensionals. And I got my, using the edges of this sheet. I'm just going to grab some dimensionals and add them to the back. All right, let's pull our card in. We're going to add our sentiment right about here. Make sure it's straight. And then we can grab another length of ribbon. And I'm hoping I have enough. And we're going to just tie a bow. Yeah, it's terrible when they don't feel good, because there's really nothing you can do for them other than give them Tylenol. All right, so we have a nice bow. Let's trim these down and grab a glue dot. Here it is. And we're just going to add this right here. And there's the front of our card. And I should have checked. I did it right, but I should have checked to make sure it opened the right way. So there's the front of our first card. Now for the inside, let's see. I did a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 petal pink and a 5 1/4 by 4 very vanilla. And we're going to just pull in that scrap again. And I think what we'll do is there's leaves on the other cards. I think I'm going to do some leaves on the inside. So I'm just going to ink it up with some Calypso coral. And we'll add it right here to the bottom of the card. We'll just make it simple. And it'll tie into the other cards. So how awesome is it that Stampin' Up! Has been around, is celebrating 35 years. Wow. I know I'll never hit 35 years with Stampin' Up! Impossible. Alright. Alright, so then we're going to adhere this layer to the inside of the card. And there is card number 1. Just quick and easy. A little bit of stamping, some designer series paper. Just makes it so easy and pretty. I love when it's a little monochromatic. It makes it easy, doesn't it? All right, now for the second card, we've got ourselves some puzzle pieces. Oops, I just dropped a piece. Now these pieces I punched with the punch. I'll move that over. We're going to start with a card base of 11 by 4 1/4. Okay, so there's our card base. And then we are going to layer it up with a piece of Calypso coral, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And we're going to top it with our very vanilla, which is 5 1/4 by 4. I probably will have to cut this down just a little bit. Now I punched some designer series paper in that piece that looks like a star. Okay. And then I did the designer series paper, the other designer series paper that we used on the first card, and punched out some of the other pieces. And as you can see the front of this card, hello, hello. I do like puzzle pieces. They all fit together, okay? I mean, we could actually put them side by side, but I did add a little bit of space between them, but they are a perfect fit. And I'm just going to lay these out just to get an idea of where I want to put my first piece, because I want at least the edges on the top and the bottom to be fairly the same. If not, I can always trim this piece down. All right. So we're just gonna move this down just a hair. And once I get my first piece on, as long as I put it on straight, it should fit perfectly. Okay. So that's gonna be my layout for the center. So I'm gonna actually start with this one. And we're going to lay this one in first. And this will be my starting piece. And I want to make sure that it's on there pretty straight, because if we're going to work off this one, it'll set the pace for all the rest of the pieces. All right. So we're just going to keep adding, trying to keep our spaces pretty much the same. Now for these middle pieces, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, because I am going to cover the center with the Countryside Corners die or piece. Oops. But you want to remember that these, like I said, it sets the pace for the other two sides. All right. So there's our center. Now we're going to work out towards the outside. So we're just going to glue it up. And again, we want to try to keep the same amount of space. And you want to use glue, because it just gives you that little bit of wiggle room. Oops. Just get that glue off there. How cool are these? These are really, really neat little, these pieces are pretty neat. You could even take this punch, let me just move that in just a hair, and take these pieces, and if you fold them up like that, and even curl these pieces, you could actually make a 4-petaled flower. The X is from, thank you for asking, it's the Other Punch. This stamp set, inked and tiled, come with these 2 punches. So this one was punched with the X, and the other one was punched with the star. Oh, I want to call it a star. All right, so one side done. Now let's work the other side. I'm just looking. I hope I have all my pieces, and they're over here. I hear Sheba barking. Usually she's in bed, but I gave her a marrow bone because she was acting crazy because she was in her little house all day. So I didn't take her out yet. All right, so here's one. And then we have one more piece. And then the front of our card is done with the puzzle pieces. All right, so there is, it even looks like a quilt. Yes, that was Sheba. Yeah, it's a punch. I love punches. They make life so simple. All right, so you can see these little points. They're off just by a little bit. If you turn it over, can you see those little dark spots? Those are the points. So we're just going to snip them off so the edges are nice and straight and clean. And I don't think I really need to trim. It might be off by a hair down here, but I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's look at it on here. That's okay. And we're going to adhere this to the front of our card. Whoops. Or actually to the mat. And now we'll adhere it to the front of the card. Like I said, it almost looks like quilt pieces. It is great for using up scraps. You're right. These are perfect punches. And you don't have to even do the whole card. You can just do the centerpiece across. I mean, there's so many ways. And like I said, if we fold these in, this is the little cross punch. Fold them in. Take your bone folder and just give them a little bit of a curl so it'll sit up off your paper, right? You can fuss with them a little bit and then put a gem right in the center, and you have a little flower, right? You can put a little flower on the front of your card. It'd be adorable. All right, so there's that. Next, I have the countryside corners dies. And I'm just going to pop this up right onto the front of the card. And just give me a second. I got to open up a new pack here. Or pull out a new strip. So we're just going to pop this up right on the front of the card. I didn't do anything to it. It's just a very vanilla piece of cardstock. Come on, there you go. And we're going to center this. This is why I said you didn't have to worry too much about these two pieces, other than it helps you lay out the rest of them. All right, so there's the center of our card. And if I pull this in, I stamped the leaves and I stamped one of the flowers. This is Calypso Coral. This is Petal Pink. And because it does not come with dies, I had to fussy cut it. And I actually did it ahead of time so you wouldn't have to watch me fussy cut. And we are going to adhere this to the front of the card. This time I'm going to pop this up. So I'm just going to put a dimensional on there. But for the leaves, I'm just going to run some glue just down the center. I'm going to leave the leaves loose. And we're just going to add that right to that piece. And then we're going to grab that flower and just add it right on top. Okay, just subtle. Now you'll notice the just a note. I'll show you how I did it. Just going to grab a scrap. That one says lots of love. Let me see if I pull. Here it is. And we're going to grab our Calypso coral. Oops. I'm just going to do this right down here. All right, so there is our just a note. I am going to grab this punch that we have, and I'm going to line it up, not worrying about this side. I'm just lining it up in the center there and giving it a stamp, a punch, and then grabbing my scissors and cutting it right along that piece. Okay, then we have our sentiment, and it doesn't look like it's very straight. I guess I'm looking a little crooked tonight. So it's a quick sentiment frame. And we're just going to pull these pieces off. And we're going to put it where it's right over the end of that flower. Okay, so we have just a note. And then we're going to grab some more of this twine and just make a quick ribbon. Now, I think last week I was telling you, we turned our air conditioners off. It had windows open. It was beautiful. Well, the heat is back. Our air conditioners are back on. It's just crazy. This weather is just crazy. How is it by everybody else? All right, we're going to just put that glue dot and add our ribbon. I do have some gold gems I've been trying to get rid of, so we're just going to add that right there to the front. So there is the front of our second card, a little bit more involved, but it is really pretty. And then for the inside, I added a gold ribbon and I cut the pieces in half and put them on the top of our layer. So I have a piece of Calypso coral that's 5 1/4 by 4, and then our basic white, very vanilla, that's 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. But first I'm going to just adhere a strip of petal pink. And I'm actually going to add my glue here. So I'm just going to lay this across the top. And I want it to be right up along the edge. Okay. And then I cut this one and this one and this one in half. They'll still fit together. So I'm just going to grab some glue and I'm actually going to, let's see, how did I do it? Okay, right against the edge on this side and right across the top. So we want it right at the edge and right at the top. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm doing the outside pieces first. And this one I have to eyeball a little because I didn't trim it yet. but we want it to be flush at the top, right to the edge. And then we're going to grab this little half piece and we're going to put it right up here at the top. And again, I want it flush with that edge. All right, just something a little different. We're going to turn it over. We're going to trim this off. And I'm going to grab some gold twine this time. Oops, gotta trim this edge. We're just gonna cut a piece of gold ribbon, really not twine. Okay, that's my short piece. And then we're gonna quick do a bow. You need to move to Iowa. Oh, wow. That sounds really nice, Karen. It's 71 here right now. So that's pretty warm for 7:30 at night, especially for October. All right, so just a quick little bow. Let's trim our tails. And then we're going to grab that little short piece. And I'm cheating on the inside of this card, so I'm adding my glue dots. And we're just going to wrap it right across the top. Okay. See, even on the inside, I do not wrap and tie. I rely on my glue dots. I should just practice, that's all. All right, and then we're just going to add the glue dot. Oops. Make sure my... And then we have our bow. Let's grab some glue. Adhere it to our layer. And then we can add it to the inside of our card. All right, so there is card number 2. Now this one doesn't stay closed really good because of that bow. But there's card number 2. All right. All right, last project. It's a little pouch. And it's a funny story. We went shopping yesterday after the VA appointment because I had run out of coffee. And Bill was like, you need to get little things so you can make your 3D items for your cards. And I did. So this is the first one. It's spiced apple cider. Never had it. It's an instant drink mix. You just add water. So I decided to make... You're welcome. I decided to make this little pouch. And I started with a petal pink card base. And it measures 11. And I think that's wrong. I should think it's supposed to be 10 3/4 by 4 1/4. Let me just check before I start this. That's 1, 8, 9. Yes. 1, 5 3/4, 10 1/2. That's weird. I don't remember doing 10 1/2. But I guess I did. Let's see. I'm going to check it one more time. 4 1/2. See, I didn't write this one down. 9 1/4. 10 1/4. Okay, so it's 10 1/4 by 4 1/4. And you don't have to worry about it because I am going to have a PDF for everything tomorrow. So we got 4 1/4. We just need 10 1/4. All right. So there we have our piece. 10 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then we have to score it. I did not score it yet. And I am going to score it at 1 inch. I'm going to do it this way. That's for our flap. Let me just check to make sure what the next score line is. And then 5 1/4. So we're going to scoot it down to 5 1/4 and then score it. All right. Very quick and easy. That's not right. What the heck did I do? 5 3/4. See? It's 5 3/4. Can't even read a rule right tonight. All right. All right. So 1 and 5 3/4. So that's going to be our pouch. And I'm going to grab some tearing tape. And do I have the lid to my glue here? Yes, I do. And we are going to run. Let me just make sure which one we want. We want this one. We're going to run a piece of tearing tape down the sides. Okay. And like I said, let me just make sure that is the right score line. And it is. And we're going to just take these off and close it up. So now we have a pouch that measures 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay. I'm going to grab my corner round. And I'm just going to round these corners because that is going to be our flap. All right. And then we're going to decorate it. I have a piece of Calypso coral, 4 by 4 1/4. And that is going to go right here on the front. So let's grab our glue. And we're just going to adhere this right to the front. Then I have a piece of Designer Series paper. It's 3 3/4 by 4. And that's just going to go right onto the front. All right, easy so far. Hey, Kathy. Aw. Yeah, this stamp set, I've been enjoying it also. All right, now we're going to work on our flap. And it is 4 by 3/4. And then 4, nope, that's a lie. 3 3/4 by 1/2. And we're going to take our punch again, and we want to just round our corners so it matches our flap. I want to make sure it's the right size. There's one. Okay. And then we're just going to adhere this to our piece. And then we can adhere this right to the flap. Now I found, I'm going to have to run out and get some more. I found one Velcro, so I added the clear piece here and the whiter piece at top, so it holds itself closed. For tonight, let's just grab a glue dot, because they do work wonders. So we're just going to put a glue dot under there just to hold it closed. And you'll see I have a petal pink and a calypso coral leaf. And I cut them out so we wouldn't have to watch me fussy cut. And I am going to adhere that one. And then we are going to grab some dimensionals. And let's grab a couple smaller ones for the bottom leaves. That white would stick out like a sore thumb. Take our papers off. And we're just going to put this one here. We're going to get that star punch again. And I got to grab a scrap of petal pink. And my scrap of Very Vanilla. And we're going to grab our Lots of Love and Calypso Coral. So we're just going to ink it up. And I'm going to put it down here. All right, so we got our Lots of Love. And we're going to line it up so it's even. Grab one in petal pink. Oh, here it is. It went flying. And before we, it's my 35% off. Before we layer it together, we're going to grab some petal pink. And I have this flower. I'm going to ink up and stamp and then stamp. Just so there's a little flower in the background. It's very, very subtle. All right, pull our piece back in. And layer it up. We're going to pop this up. I'm just going to add it right here. And one more bow. Make some room here. Oh, looks like I cut it too short. No worries. When it's cut short, I just come in and grab that piece and pull it through with my pokey tool. Instead of wasting my ribbon. All right, ladies, so if you are in need of supplies, now would be the time to become a demonstrator. You can just enjoy the 20% off discount because you get $168 worth of product for just $99. If you want these make and takes, use this host code, whoops, right here. All right, so here's our little pouch. Here is our one card. And here is our Hello Friend card. So use this host code up here. And I will have a PDF tomorrow, sometime in the morning. Hopefully nothing happens. So thanks, ladies, for joining. I hope you all have a great rest of the night. And I will, thank you, Cindy. I'll talk to everybody soon. All right. So here's our host code. Watch the group for some crazy posts. And if you're looking for something in the mail for me, it should be there shortly. Thank you, thank you. Aw, please do, Cindy. They were fun. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, you're welcome, honey. Bye-bye.